Now that we have implemented almost all the basic framework code, let's go ahead and implement the UI for us. So as I mentioned earlier, what we are going to do is a list based screen where you have a list of inventory items, and the inventory item is nothing but its list item itself, and the list item has a text, then a plus and minus button, which would increment or decrement the current stock value or current stock. Then you have a delete button which would remove this inventory item from the list. So this is a bare basic implementation of list. So what we would do is I'm going to add a folder in this one called components. In order for us to implement this list correctly, what we'll do, we are going to create a separate list item which is custom for us for our application, so that the creation of the list, generation of the list would be pretty much easy for us when we create it and use it. We are going to do that now. So I created something called inventory item. Just going to name it as class and item extends widget, and we have to import material dot here. Then in this one, in order for us to get it done correctly, what we need is we need a store reference to this. Then we need a model which the item holds a reference to. These are not instances, these are dependencies which are being injected through this one. So this is final store final model, and we are going to give this to inventory item model store. That's it. Now we will implement this. Like I mentioned earlier, this is a dismissible widget wherein that takes a, we'll provide a key, because the key needs to be unique here in this key. So this key of we need to give a unique name here. What we'll do, we'll just give model name. We just give that so that it is going to be unique. Then child, so the child is nothing but list style. So list style, we have a couple of parameters. The title is nothing but the name of the inventory item. Model dot name item. Okay, it is inventory model we have to give. Otherwise you won't be able to use the values there in the model. So now we would give the item name. It's one thing. So we'll just close it there. So list style, as we know, it has a text. So the title is there. Now we have a description section is there. That's what we are going to add next. Subtitle. So it has a model.key. So we have added. Don't worry about this get description function, so that we are going to add later. Now we need a trailing. Trailing is nothing but it's a row of items we are going to give here. So as you have seen, I have provided this implementation real quick. Because otherwise it's gonna take a while to explain everything. Here I'll just explain the code. Here trailing is actually a row of items. we need to give a key to this, so I just gave the key as the model key here itself. So, and the children is one is an icon button which takes add, it's a plus. So what we do is when the button is pressed, we are going to update the quantity. So update quantity is a function written there in the inventory model. So inventory model has this update quantity function written there, so it would go ahead and increment or decrement the quantity based on what we pass there on that. Then it call save. Save is again async, so it does the store update operation by itself. And the next is a minus button, which means we have to decrement the count. So we pass -1 or +1 in this one to make it consistent, because this is just an example or how to use that. We are not much worried about how many steps we want to increment or decrement. And then we have a delete button, which definitely means that the user want to delete that particular inventory from the list. And now we have that items all set. What we will do is we will go ahead and provide definitions for the get description function. Now that we have added support for the inventory item, now what we will do is we will create a list widget which takes care of, or which would display this particular inventory item. So next what we will do is we will go ahead and add another component in this UI components called list inventory list. So we'll start with class inventory list extends as the state would be automatically been taken care internally. We would see import framework / model. So what we do, we would go ahead and we need import store package mvc / framework / store. So we have added those. Then we need a dependency injection here. So final store final list of models final string list name. So the list name would act as a key for this. So we would provide inventory list dot it. So store this dot models this dot list name with the real quick, and we will go ahead and implement this list and list. It's nothing but it's a builder which iterates through all the models and create a inventory item and attach that one to the list. That's it. So we would I will just provide the implementation real quick. Yep, we have it done. We have done the inventory list also. Now what you can see is we have implemented a inventory list which returns a list of inventory list items using the models, and this is pretty much straightforward. This is how we can actually implement any list widget. As we have done with this list, now I will go ahead and explain what it really means. So we defined an inventory model wherein it has all the parameters. So inventory model is a schema for the inventory. So there it has the item name, and it has a recurrence. So recurrence means how frequently that inventory needs to be filled or the purchase needs to happen. And the unit, whether the unit mean whether the inventory item is in kgs, pound, grams, or it's the number of pieces or the piece or the unit. So that's what it means. The cost per unit is how much does it cost for a kg or something like that. Then what's the current quantity which is left, what's the required quantity, and all the stuff. So basically it's just a simple explanation. We doesn't add much value or anything to anything. So basically it's just a simple explanation, as we have covered earlier there in the framework part. This inventory model is a schema. Now if you want to create a different model, like customer model, you can go ahead and create a customer model, provide all the details what you want there, and you can use the framework code in order to manipulate the data there. That so now we'll go to this inventory item. This is a list item which would have a title, a subtitle, add, remove, and a plus minus and a remove button or a delete button. So this is dismissible, which means you can swipe this list tile so that it would get deleted. So I have provided the implementation for the swipe. When we swipe on that list tile, what would happen? The framework would actually give a callback on dismiss callback, where it would mention whether it's a right to left or left to right or something like that. We are not right now. We are not looking at the directions. Whichever version the swipe happens, we just go ahead and remove it from our store. Next, we have the list tile implemented, where the list tile has a item name, the title, then subtitle, and a couple of items are there in the row. Here also what you can see is that when we have the tile icon pressed, for example add, then we are actually updating the quantity and just calling model save. It is a pretty straightforward and easy way to implement. So we have done that part also. Similar is the case with the delete part. Here it's very simple, straightforward. We would just retrieve the store from using the model. Here that is pretty much not needed basically, because we already have that store passed here. You don't have to really do that. You can just directly call remove here. I just given it just for a presentational purpose only. So we can use it like this also. So there are different ways we can use that. If you don't like dependency injection of the store here, this is another way you can do that. You just can pass this inventory model, get the model dot name from there. Always use the model dot name here. Don't even need hardcore anything here. And next we have implement the list. So in order to implement the list, we use the inventory list item which we have created earlier. There we use the iterator of the models, and we run through each model and create an inventory item, pass it down to the list widget, so it would get populated automatically there in itself. So it's pretty much straightforward and not much to say anything. The only thing is that you have to pass the correct item counts, otherwise the indexes won't be updated properly. So make sure you pass the correct item count when you are using the builder. So now that we have seen how to create custom list, how to create a custom list item, now it is time for us to move to home page, provide some code there in that so that we can start displaying this list. In the next session, we will provide support for home page, add or edit inventory page, and statistics page. We also will provide details for navigator and how to use different navigation technology in the application.